and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
If you're a fan of comic books and comic book conventions, Daytona Beach Comic Con needs to be on your list of must-attend events. It's a show that actually focuses on comic books. Imagine that! This year's event is happening on Saturday, September the 6th, and Sunday, September the 7th. Silverline creators will be there, so we'll see you at the show. There's a new convention in town, and it's sure to be mega fun without the mega expense. Comics, toys, collectibles, pop culture. ShadowCon, Saturday, February 1st, 2025 in Orlando, Florida. Silverline creators will be there, so we'll see you at the show. If you find yourself in the Orlando area, and let's be honest, doesn't everyone come to Orlando for the House of Mouse? Head over to Coliseum of Comics to get your comic book fix. Be sure to check out their location on East Colonial Drive, where they carry a wide selection of independent comics, including Silverline books. Stop by and don't forget to tell them Silverline sent you. Hey, if you're an independent comic creator looking to get your comic printed, look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our comics and do a fantastic job. They can even print special edition covers. When you reach out to them, be sure to tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kelber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Wham. We've got our usual suspects, and we've got a guest tonight. So we're going to start off.
We better be on our best behavior.
Quick, one-line introduction of yourself until we get to BJ, and then she can expand. Want to go, Kaz?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
you hear
yes.
me? Kasisi Harris, writer at Silverline, youngin in the career. So that's not, not much to me. So there you go. That's my one line.
Martin?
Hi, I'm Martin, and I colored Wolf Hunter. There's my one-liner.
Hey,
and that was
Rob.
Silverline.
You're limiting me to one line.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, I'm done. No, I'm Rob Davis. The most recent stuff I've seen in previews is Twilight Grim for Silverline Comics. So there's my one line.
I'm Barb
Penciler.
Kelberg. I am inker, colorist, and CFO of Silverline Comics. And tonight, our specialist guest, the one who signs my checks, right? Is Ms. BJ Mann, part of the dynamic duo of Man and Man, who run the whole shebang. And tonight we are going to pick her brains because she is our social media guru.
Oh, guru.
Yes. You're going to tell us how you kind of fell into that backwards. Now, let's roll back the time here. We're at the way back machine here when Silverline first started.
Yeah.
And Roland said, I want to do Silverline for the third time. And
Yeah.
BJ said, no, you're not.
Yes.
You're not going to do it by yourself, only if you have help.
Yes, that's it.
So he roped
Yeah.
in everybody in his immediate family and elsewhere, and you got put in charge of all kinds of interesting things. Tell
Yes,
us about
anything and everything, because his plate, he's a one-man show for so long, and this was definitely very, very different compared to the times before. I think this time, and I think it has to do with that he's been in the industry for so long, so he's been able to meet a whole group of fantastic, talented individuals, and he also has a talent for finding new talent too. And y'all know him. He's a talker. He can talk, especially because he loves this industry and everything about it. But you know, we had gotten to a point where we had relocated to Florida for his job teaching. And I couldn't find anything in my field, which is student affairs at a university. And just nothing was opening up close by. And so, you know, one day I went to him and I'm like, this is not me. I cannot not be busy. I need to be doing something. Of course, you know, we have a son who was still in junior high at the time, transitioning to high school. And that kept me busy, but it's still, I wanted more. And so I just went to him. I said, put me to work. I see how much work and time and energy you put in. Let me lighten your load some. And so I just started taking things a little bit at a time. And yes, we did. Our daughter to start. She actually started out doing the social media side of things, and then our son started doing kind of the IT support help with the streaming and things like that. And so once our daughter went and found her a full-time job and moved away, it was social media for me. And I just dove into it. I have to admit, I absolutely have had so much fun. It's a lot of change. And so, you know, I think people find that really difficult, is the change, because social media is ever changing and evolving. But I just dove straight in. I learned about, one of the other big things I did was I learned about what it meant to become official, like an LLC. So I dove into that too. But the social media side of things, I've thoroughly enjoyed. But you got to stay on your feet with social media, because, like I said, it's ever here.
I'm going to put it back on you until I figure this out.
I mean, you look at the most recent Instagram post. You know, it's not like you get daily notifications when something changes on a platform. You know, so it's like, oh man, I got to go and resize everything. And so, you know, but you go with it. You learn. You get better and you move forward.
So really, when you were coming in, you did not know much about social media.
Not a lot. I did some stuff. Of course, you know, when your career is primarily around college students, you do kind of stay abreast of things fairly well, because that's what they're used to. That's the services that they want, that kind of thing. So it wasn't, you know, completely blindsided by everything. So and it wasn't a major learning curve for me. But, you know, diving into it and knowing the, you know, what's this about with the algorithms? What's this with the hashtags? You know,
SEO.
Yeah. You know, what's all this language and these acronyms?
What are all these initials for? What is SEO? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of learning that.
Another thing I think is vastly different in Silverline 3.0 as opposed to 1.0 and 2.0 is the fact that the industry has changed incredibly fast. And we not only have print on demand, but everything is on social media platforms now.
Everything.
So if you don't have a social media presence, you're pretty much dead in the water.
You really are. And I know that, you know, that's something that with our Silverline folks, you know, I think at one point in time we had counted just a little over 60 creators. And Some of those are comfortable with social media, but then there's those that just haven't ever had to worry about doing that kind of thing. And that's when I had created the group that I did to try to share and teach a little bit at a time, because everybody learns differently too. I even set up, there have been many video conferences where I've set up and tried to help creators to be able to know, okay, what do you need to do here? What kind of questions do they have? Because that's really where you need to start off. And sometimes they don't know what questions to ask. So you just kind of have to be flexible.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yes, exactly. So it, and just kind of teaching along the way, because in this day and age with so many industries, you need to be able to know how to navigate social media to some degree. And you don't have to go all out like some folks do that have every single platform that is out there that they're a part of. What I try to encourage folks to do is try like 2 platforms. Start out with that first. Start out simple, because if you try to go all in, not everybody, but a good majority are going to be burnt out and they're going to feel really, really stressed.
I used to be a lifeguard. When you first start learning how to swim, you don't jump in the deep end of the pool.
I have
you're gonna drown.
I have something like 11 social media platforms, and I found out I was only using maybe 4 of them. So,
Yeah, because there's always one popping up here or there, and some of them have been successful, some of them haven't, and I know that people want to try to kind of spread their wings as wide as they possibly can, but that's not necessarily always the best approach to take. It's like setting yourself at being on a firm foundation, and then you can build upon that.
Yep.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, at the end of the day, you've really, really, really got to practice giving yourself some grace.
I know what's intimidating, at least initially, is you can make a quality post. Do you think that for the beginner, they should be worried about like how good their post is and will it go viral, or do you just suggest that they just make genuine kind of content, put it out there and see what happens? Or how do you suggest like starting?
The ladder.
You, Kaz, I would suggest putting your cat on, because that's just instant clickbait right there.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Everybody's going to click on the cat.
I think the latter is probably, because one of the things, and I can't help but reference when I work with college students, and we go in and we break down the time for them and say, okay, how much you've got 24 hours in a day. So this is what you spend, and you got to count everything. You're brushing your teeth, you're taking a shower, you're eating, you're studying, and so often you go way beyond 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you really have to look at what time you have to devote to it. If you start on the front end and say, okay, I'm gonna wait till I get organized, that's not going to happen for a while.
Yeah.
So why not at least start small and start posting, and you're going to learn, you're going to grow as you do that, because you're going to look back on it and go, oh, I should have done this instead of this. But then you can move forward and do that. And the nice thing about social media platforms is that you can either archive or you can delete your post. Mm-hmm. And if you archive them, you can go back and kind of look at what you've done before and grow and move on from that. So those images or those things that you did initially, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. You can still archive it and appreciate it, and then, just add to it.
Yeah, my favorite archive is file 13, that little round thing by the door.
But no, just get in there and do it. And don't take a big bite out of the apple. Just take a small one and start, even if that's you posting once a week. And the thing another thing is that learning to know what tools are out there to help support that. For instance, I'll use Buffer. You can get 3 free social media platforms. you can go in there and say, I have an hour every Saturday that I can work on social media stuff and scheduling. Work that hour, and you may be able to create something once every day for a week and schedule that, and you're done with your hour.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's free and it's not costing you money at the same time. And so utilizing those kinds of services too. I mean, like Canva has a free account. You know, but if you're well, any of it, as far as a creator, if you're a writer, artist, inker, colorist, letterer, whatever, you know, just start.
Mm-hmm.
Just start.
And how do you think that social media creates connections with people? Why does social media create?
Well, if you utilize it well, engagement is it's like whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. You know, actually, probably social media is really nice for more introverts than extroverts, because you can be behind the scenes and you're you know, engaging on your own time and not having to put yourself out there, you know. But you've got to engage. That's building your audience. Of course, above everything, you want to build your brand. You want to be able to know, you know, what you're trying to get out there. And even again, if you start off small, you can build upon that. And I think, again, people expect everything to be perfect before they put it out there. And you might be waiting a while for that.
And do you think that that's you know, today when we look at social media influencers and how they perceive that engagement going viral, sometimes they sacrifice what they're doing and what they believe in just to get the engagement. So, you know, what kind of, I don't know, advice would you have as far as that boundary? Like, you know, you want engagement, but consider the cost of getting the engagement.
Yes. Sometimes that engagement's not very nice. And I do think that, you know, people have become much more bold in thinking that they can say something without any kind of consequences, which is really, really
keyboard
sad.
warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just
warriors just sit behind their little keyboards and they think they can say anything.
Yes,
yeah, or
yes.
trolls who are sitting under the bridge waiting for somebody to come along and smack them in the knees. Yeah.
But even just, you know, the spamming, you know, of different accounts that just go in. And now I think more and more social media platforms are being able to recognize those accounts. And so they put them in a different section for you, kind of like your email, where you've got the spam folder that it automatically generates to. But I know when we first started out really on Instagram, for instance, I was constantly on that and just reporting and blocking, reporting and blocking constantly. And I did that for a long period of time that to be honest, I don't know what triggered anything, but we stopped getting all that kind of stuff. So I think you can have the mentality of, it's a part of the job, it's a part of work. Let me just kind of compartmentalize it and grab this stuff, throw it away, report it or whatever, and then move on. You got to work real hard not to let that interfere with what your ultimate goal is. And I know that can be easier said than done for some people, but you know, what is one thing that you can think of that causes so much engagement? When you talk about those influencers, what do you see that they're doing? What is it? Cats.
You know, I think you know, it varies based on the type of influencer, but a lot of them try and do outrageous, you know, counter things, right? Things that they don't necessarily, at least this is what I see, things that they don't necessarily like or believe in, but they know that the shock value of that thing will automatically cause engagement, positive or negative, but the amount of engagement is what they want more than the type of engagement. Like some people just numb themselves to the anti.
Yeah. But what kind of how can I word this? What kind of
I see a lot of.
Is it live? Is it video? Is it graphic images, like images of artwork? Is it
all of it? All of it.
What do you see getting the most engagement though out of all those?
You know, Martin, I think you're muted, Martin.
Oh,
go ahead, Martin.
Yeah, so I was just going to say the thing that I'm seeing is things that go viral are things that really connect with someone, right? It's like it's the little tiny thing that's like, that's my lived experience, and they presented it in a humorous way or something to that effect. That's what I see that kind of
stuff that's over the top is what usually
over the top. Yeah.
Well, I think but there's also stuff that's not over the top that tickles some emotion.
Yeah.
If you're tickling somebody's emotion, if you're making them laugh, that gets their attention. If you're making them mad, that gets their attention. If you make them sad, that gets their attention.
Yes.
How does that explain me watching?
Emotion,
How do
that
you
gets
explain that me watching all these restoring old houses videos?
That brings you.
That makes you feel good. Yeah.
But I guess what I was trying to get at is the biggest thing is video recording is that is going to, and I think that's been really, really hard for a lot of creators, because I'm almost like a broken record saying, I need footage. I need you to, whether it's drawing or inking or even a writer, being at your desk, typing up, a plot or outline or something, is that it's that connection that people still want, even though they feel like they can come back and say what they want to see. You're not seeing them in the videos. You're seeing the influencer or the person that's doing the posting. And so I think that is a huge hurdle that a lot of people find hard to move towards, because your reels, your like YouTube, any type of footage like this, personalizing it, people are more drawn to, whether it is that you make them laugh, you make them cry, you make them angry, whatever the case may be. And to get to your point even more so is that you've got to decide what's most important for you and staying true to you and who you are, versus that clickbait kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
that only works for a while. Yeah, that
Yeah.
doesn't work forever. If
If
you get an emotional connection with your viewers, that's a whole different deal. You've got them. You've got them and can hold on to them more than if you're just going for click. Eventually, they're going to click on something else.
Yeah,
that's right. And that kind of leads me into my next question. And BJ has a list of all of these questions I'm asking, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
I cheated and gave her a heads up.
Peter.
So staying true to yourself and trying to get people to watch you, how do you increase your brand awareness and your reach?
That's a lot of it's I will not try to paint it with, what is the saying, glasses,
rose-colored glasses.
Rose-colored glasses is it. That's a job. It's a job. You've got to get to a point where you're going out there and you're, following, liking other people's social media platforms and trying to connect with them, interacting. It's kind of like networking. You're networking. And think of it instead of, I've got to be on the computer all this time. I've got to take time to do that. Just like if you were out, whether it was a grocery store and interacting with people or going to a party or an event, you can still schedule that time out, just like you would schedule, like I said, that 1 hour on a Saturday to be able to get your post scheduled. Schedule that out so that you have that time to go and do that. Find people. And the other thing is, one of the things that I learned going through this whole process with the Small Business Association, the local group, was that you want to narrow everything down, because the first question she asked me, she goes, so who's your target audience? I said, everybody. And she's like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it can't. I'm like, but I don't want it to be everybody. She goes, you got to narrow it down. She made me, you know, and then I'm like thinking of certain states. She goes, no, you got to narrow it down. She goes, where do you live? Florida. Okay, Florida, but you got to narrow it down. Then you got to narrow it down to your age group. Then you got to narrow it down, you know, is it male primarily or female? You know, it literally is, you've got to narrow down that focus so that you can build on that and then start branching out a little bit at a time too. So it's going to be time consuming, but you don't have to make it so time consuming that you're not able to do other things. You've got to budget that time out again. And that's planning on the front end versus the tail end. Because I will say, I got at the very beginning, I became very overwhelmed. I'm like, holy moly, this is, how many platforms are we on? And, you know, talking with Roland, what do you want me to do? How often do you want me to do this? And, you know, but when we, you know, just within no time, we were up on our platforms by over 700%. I mean, it was,
hi, Geek Man.
We were making progress. But again, you know, if you're a lone person doing everything for your project, what you're doing all by yourself, that is a lot of work because you're one person.
A lot of work.
But if you have a group like we have Silverline, and you have all of these creators, and if, you know, joining forces and say, for instance, you know, Divinity comes out, well, you're making your post, we're all sharing that post, we're liking that post, we're engaging, then the algorithm is like, woohoo, this is some activity going on.
Right.
You know, you keep that momentum going, but people have got to understand they've got to do that. When you're in a group that is supportive and encouraging of each other, you're going to see the benefits. But if you don't do that and you're like, I'm only going to do it for my project, I'm not going to do it for anybody else's project.
Yeah, not everybody's is really into that. Yeah,
it's going to fall flat. But that, like saying earlier, that's a part of the comic industry now. That with the way things, social media is here. Social media is here to stay, and unfortunately, you know, some people are going to have to make those difficult decisions of, do I want my projects to be successful or don't I?
Right.
And along that line, how does using analytics and insights help you towards that?
You know, and people, if you don't like math, that's okay. You don't have to like math. You can look at it very simply. And that when I talk to folks and try to talk about the number side of things, is that some platforms, for instance, you see the likes or the hearts or whatever it is that they allow. But then, you know, on some you see views, particularly, again, videos, reels, things like that. You see views. You get, for a video, you get 500 views. You've reached 500 people. Keep that momentum going. You may only get 2 likes, but you look at those views, you know, not everybody's going to take don't take it like nobody likes what I'm posting because you've only got 2 likes. That is not the case at all.
Yeah, YouTube, I think, even breaks it down by how many hours or minutes they've spent watching it as well. I've looked at some of those analytics.
Yeah, because you can monetize that once you have so many views.
Yeah, if you get a certain amount, you can monetize it.
Twitter can tell you how many times somebody has read your post.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and Facebook, you can sign up for a pro Facebook account, which I have, which gives you analytics on who's read and clicked on things.
Yeah.
So a lot of the social media platforms have analytics, which will tell you how successful any particular post is. And I suppose if you're super anal about it, which I have not been, you can keep track of what's working and what's not.
Yeah, you can. If that's something that's helps you to guide what your content is and what you post and not post, because you could simply post a video and it just, because of the time that you posted it. It may not be that optimum time frame for that particular platform. There's a lot of that goes into it too, is that every single platform is different as far as what the optimum time is to post something for more views. And so knowing that and understanding that will also help you as well. But like, for instance, Buffer, if I have my 3 social media platforms, it's going to give me all the analytics, all the data in that one spot, so that you don't have to. Because in the very, very beginning, what I was doing, because Roland wanted to keep up with the numbers, is that I created a spreadsheet, and I had how many views, all that kind of stuff for every single platform. And I would report that. He wanted a report every week. And so I was reporting it every week. Well, then it got to a point, and it was like, but it was good information to have, but that is time consuming. But then we got to doing it every month, just to kind of see where things are. You know, that's where even just recently with YouTube, with the Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday Silverline streams, oh my goodness, the number of views. I mean, that is fantastic. I don't know if y'all know the numbers across the board, but you got to combine them all, because you're on Facebook, you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, you're on YouTube, you're on with the Madness Network. Thanks, Pops. You're on Rumble. You're on Pops channels too, as well as Silverline social media outlets as well. And you know, Sunday night, it wasn't this past Sunday night, but the one before that, I think they got right up at 100. You know, so it's building on that foundation you have laid, and it takes time. It's not an instant overnight sensation that just happens. That does happen, but those are rarities. So stay the course and keep building.
And I want to thank you, because you had such a healthy perspective on what you said earlier. Just because you get 500 views and 2 likes doesn't mean that your stuff is crap and people don't like it. So when you look at data in that way, don't interpret it automatically as the negative and you should stop, right?
Exactly.
Things up, but
stay the course.
Yeah. So thank you. That is a very encouraging thing.
You're welcome. But so many people weren't looking at it like that. And when I would meet with them and talk with them, they would say, but BJ, I got 1 or 2 likes. And I'm like, and I'll pull up their social media so that I'm looking at it too. I'm like, but yeah, you got like 500 views. That's huge. So that's a major positive for you.
Yep. So it boils down to consistency as well. So a lesson we can learn from the music industry is there was a band out of Toronto, and I believe they were called Philly Talent. And all of a sudden they exploded onto the scene, and everyone's like, where did this band come from? Right? But they spent 10 years on the trenches, going all over the place, trying to get,
their gigs and everything,
doing their gigs and doing their stuff and building the audience. And it was just consistency, and you have to always be consistent. And if you're consistent, then what happens is people see, oh, this person is always putting something out on a regular basis, and then you start seeing it, and it starts building from that. Another band that did that too was the Bare Naked Ladies. I don't know if anyone knows who they are.
Yep.
So, would know the music side.
Okay. So I've heard of them. They started when I was a kid in Canada. They started, and they were like the Canadian darling band. And then If I Had $1 Million was their big song, and Canada loved them. They were Canada's band, right? Canada, but they couldn't crack the States at all. And so they tried and they tried and they tried, and then finally a company or somebody down there said, okay, you're going to give me 2 years of your life, and we're going to make it big for you, but you guys got to follow or plan for you. It's like, okay, so what are we going to do? So what they did is they ended up doing concerts in all the major cities throughout the States within weeks of each other. But they would do one in the north, and then they would go back to the same city like a couple of weeks later and do one in the south. And then they would go to another city and do one in the east, and then they do one in the west. And then they'd go back to another city, and so they would do all these venues in a very short period of time. So they thought they were kind of like a local band, right? And so somebody thought, hey, we do this man, they're really good. They're playing over there this time. They're closer to you. Oh, hey, did you hear? And so they did that for 2 years. They put out their album Stunt. Right? So yeah, so Silverline you guys have been doing a very consistent and steady thing, which is the 3 shows. And those 3 shows, we've been doing it consistently, and that's building an audience.
It really is. It is. And the thing too, that is just an observation on my end. One of the many hats that I've worn is one of a researcher teaching graduate students research. And so I look at the qualitative and the quantitative all together. And the observation that I have that is the theme that's just popping up is that all 3 shows, y'all, it's so much energy, so much knowledge. You have the laughter, you have all the elements, and people, like Rob was saying earlier, they're drawn to that. And so getting the word out that we've got these 3 shows, and another marketing tool that we use, I don't have it around me, but is our card that we got tons of those cards printed up that has all the show listings and information and that kind of thing. What social?
I'm still giving them out at my shows.
Yeah, and we put those in, orders of bags and stuff, with the bags with the comics and stuff. We include it everywhere.
Put them on my table at all my shows.
I've got a big show coming up. You need to send me some of those.
Yeah,
I put them on my table at every single one of my shows.
Put that on your list.
Got it.
Got a show. I've got a show this weekend.
I will put them out because I do the same. I have postcards for Airship 27 that I also put on my table. But stuff for Silverline that on the table. People will come by, and if I get them to talk, I got a free here. Take one of these. And give it to them. So and some of them get thrown away, but if you give out enough of them, you'll grab a handful. So
and even still, I guess I'm by nature an optimist. Is that some people may not want to carry the card around with them, but what will they do? They'll get their camera, they'll take a picture of it, they'll have it in their phone so they can reference it later,
or give them a QR code, or something like that.
But that's one of the things that we've done just right off the bat, is making sure that and again, that's minimal investment, but it has proven to be very, very beneficial. Very beneficial.
So saying that we've got a crowdfunder, which we always do have a crowdfunder coming up. So out there, audience, you've got a crowdfunder coming up. Now you need to know what to do in the days, weeks, or even months preceding the crowdfunder. Pop says, I have our QR code on the back of our business cards. I do too.
Yep.
Smart idea.
Yep. So what do you do in the days, weeks prior to a crowdfunder? How do you get the ball rolling?
Well, this was, and I think when you're doing these kinds of things and you're starting off fresh and new with it, is just to experiment. And I know that when I started taking over doing the designs for the promotional pieces on social media, I started out, I think we did like 2 weeks ahead of time, and we would say, coming soon, and then do a countdown of like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 kind of thing. And then you would do that ahead of time, and then just promote like crazy throughout the actual crowdfunding time. And some of that, and again, this is another great example of just do it. Mm-hmm. And then you'll learn and add and improve or take away, as you go, to see what works best for you. For us, that was maybe too long of time prior to. And so then we kind of cut that in half to try to build it up more. And that's where earlier, like I said, we have the whole entire Silverline creators, is that, it's, and I keep pointing this out, share, because when your project comes around, you're going to want people to share, and engage. And so, if you don't have that group of people like Silverline has, get your family, get your friends, get your colleagues and say, hey, would you help me with this? And have them share and have them reshare, repost, do some, engaging into it, liking it. And, and I encourage creators to do, you don't have to do sentence upon sentence. Just say like 3, 4, 5 words, like, great job, looking forward to it. Just something simple and easy. Yeah, nice. And do a little emoji or something.
Yeah.
Because the more engagement, like I said earlier, the more engagement you have, the more that algorithm is going to pick it up. And then other people that aren't your friends or are connected to whatever social media account you have, it's going to start showing up in their feed, or it's going to start coming as a suggestion for them to look at. And so your crowdfunders is, you just want to make sure that folks are aware of it as far out in advance. And again, I think Indiegogo and Kickstarter and Fund My Comics, some of them are also different and they have their variations. So you may do a teaser and say, hey, I want to get this out there because the first project was such a success. Let me just kind of do one sporadically. And then you start really just hammering it and another thing. And I think my brain, my social media brain goes everywhere, is that you can repost things, because when you, like the first post that you did, recycle that thing, repost it again, because probably if you've got, 900 people on your Facebook and that first post, you're going to have maybe 30 of your friends see it. Repost it again. I mean, what's the harm in doing that? Repost. If you want to add something different to it, a little one-liner here or there.
I can tell you that at Airship 27, when we put a book out, the ones that do the best, that sell the best, are the ones where the creators themselves are on social media, and they repeat. Say they'll put up a thing about their book when it first comes out. 2-3 months later, they'll do it again. 2-3 months after that, they'll do it again. And those are the ones that consistently sell, because they're constantly putting it out there for people to see. It may only sell 3 or 4 copies, but it's selling 3 or 4 copies that it wouldn't have before, because they're consistently putting stuff out there. That's what it takes. And it doesn't take a lot. It just, every once in a while, throw it back out there, see if it works again. So this question below now is
Pops needs some advice. Oh, that's Geek Man. Geek Man.
Oh, it's Geek Man. Yeah. Any suggestions for this old podcast? I'm hear you on consistency, but I don't exactly have a team behind me. So how does he?
You're a one-man show, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yep.
So if you're specifically talking about your podcast, I would be, again, utilizing that, and again, it depends. And, there's some people that are working full time and they're trying to do this as well, because this is where their passion is. You have families, children, grandchildren. I mean, there's so many different life situations that you're having to balance. Yes. Is use buffer, but I think if you're trying to promote your podcast, is go and start liking and following other people's pages, start interacting. Again, it's networking. And what do you do when you network, even in a full-time job, is that it's across, like for me working at a university, when I would go to conferences, it was connecting with other colleagues and talking to them about, what did you do in this situation? Or what would you do with this situation? And it's connecting with them. So start connecting by being a part of that engagement. I would
go on other people's podcasts if you can.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Go to other people's podcasts, go out and ask, say, hey, I'd love to come on your show. Don't be shy about it at all. I'd love to come on your show. We can talk about, this, and this, make sure that you you have some thoughts. It's kind of like if you have a problem, don't say you have a problem and then you don't have any suggestions or ideas of how you can tackle that problem or issue. Is that, make sure you have something that you can offer. Is that I'd be happy to talk about this, or I've got this new project and I would love to come on your podcast or your stream, or whatever it is.
And then you can come on mine. We'll
yes,
say, yeah.
yes. But it's connecting and going into other groups too, and just promoting, because and you want to be mindful of those groups that have rules that say you cannot self-promote, you cannot, or whatever. Just be mindful of that, because you don't want to be banned from their group, especially if it's a good group and you really like it and you're learning from it. But have a list, create a list of those groups that you can share that information in, or even advertise. Hey, I'm looking for this kind of person to come and talk about this. Who would like to come on to my podcast? That's a way to recruit too, is just to put something out there and say, hey, a video is by far the best thing versus a graphic. I'm going to just hammer that in. Video.
Graphics are good, but video's better. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So absolutely. Much better.
And speaking of that, what this is something I was never able to nail down very, very well, but how often should you post? How many hashtags should you use? And what length of videos should you use?
It all depends on what platform you're on. Unfortunately, it is, because of course they're their own business, and so they have their own processes and requirements and things like that. So what I did because I learned that pretty doggone quickly when I started taking over the social media aspect of Silverline, is that I started keeping a chart of, okay, I can do this on Facebook. This is what the graphic size needs to be. This is what the video can be. It can be live. Instagram, I can do this on just a post, but I can do this on a reel. And then as far as the days of the weeks, that is also ever evolving and changing, just like hashtags are. Before hashtags, they would tell you to do like 20 hashtags. And then it's like, no, you need to narrow that down. Yeah. And so I think a safe bet for hashtags to remember is, one, consider your branding. You'll notice for every single thing that Silverline does, you always see the hashtag, make mine Silverline. So, yeah. So, and like, on the streams too, like when you have special guests and I go in and do hashtags for those, I'll do the special guest name. So do your name, like when you've got a project going out, make sure your name is in there, make sure your project name is in there. And then anything that it relates to. I try to keep it to, 5 to 6 hashtags, because the other thing that not a lot of people know is that with a hashtag, it's not just pulling or hoping that people are going to come across it. It's just people do research those hashtags. If you, for instance, have Westerns, like Tuesday nights, done some streams on Westerns or cowboys, is that people, that's what they like. They like things that are about Westerns, cowboys, that kind of thing. So they will look for that. They will look for, particular characters like Batman. They'll look for Batman. All those posts on that particular hashtag shows up. And so that's another thing that some people do, is that they just go and they find out, okay, what posts are out there that have this particular hashtag.
That's what SEO is.
Yeah.
Search engine optimization. That's what you're doing. You're optimizing. You're making it easy for them to find you.
Yep.
You're figuring out what are people looking for when they're looking for what you're doing. What are some of the search words they might use to try and find you? So that's what hashtags are. That's what search engine optimization is. You can put those. I've read about them. I don't use them properly myself, but you can put them in your metadata and whatever you're creating, and it'll optimize whoever's trying to find you. So,
but aren't people's attention span shorter these days, and they won't watch anything like longer than 20 or 30 seconds?
Well, I think it just depends, especially with TikTok. Is that I think you got to see what your goal is. If your goal is, say, for instance, I just want to get a video out there. Let me start with 30 seconds of drawing something or inking something, and then just getting to the habit of doing that. But and you start moving in that direction, well, it gets to a point, well, you could possibly start monetizing because people are really starting to come to your platform. And if you want to monetize, for instance, you've got to do a minute to be able to qualify for that. So that's what I'm saying. When I created a chart of all the different platforms and what the requirements were, like YouTube, you have to have a certain number of views, a certain amount of time viewed, having all that laid out, and what is our goal? What is the next step that we want to take with this particular platform? So it's good to know those things as far as videos and reels, and attention span for sure. But I think, again, when you watch something, their attention span is, at least if something's happening. Of course, if you're like a professor that I've had, that was monotone and just kind of not entertaining at all. Yeah. I'm not going to stay there very long. I'm going to move on to the next one.
Or fall asleep.
Yeah.
How about email newsletters? Do they work?
Yes. Okay. If you can.
I thought email was dead.
No, oh my gosh, no.
I still use it every day, so I don't. Some people say it's dead, but I don't. I don't believe it.
It can't be dead. Yeah, because the thing is, that's where you can communicate on Messenger or text and that kind of thing, but emails have replaced memos and handwritten letters and things like that. That's just how you communicate, and you send large files and things like that. I don't see email ever going away, but start compiling an email list. Granted, again, this is another obstacle that you may end up coming to facing. And we're looking at some other alternatives for our emails. Is that, for instance, Gmail will only let you send out so many, and then you're like blocked from sending any more out because they think you're spamming people.
Right.
So you've got to look at that as far as your size of your email too. But the newsletters, people sign up for them freely. You can do it at a show, have people sign up, have, tablet where they can just sign up, on there to get the newsletter. We add it to the our email list. And make sure you're regular with your newsletters too. If you're going to do it once a month, do it once a month. Make sure that you're getting that information in that you've told them that you're going to send, like updates on projects, what's been going on in the industry, if you want to write on a particular subject, but stay active with it. And those emails do not have to be a book. Just touching base with them and giving them new information of what to look forward to is enough. Yeah, exactly. But that is, hey, the more emails that you can compile and have, the better. Yeah.
Any questions? We've got 6 minutes left. So any questions from you guys? Kaz?
Did you run out of
Why me? Why?
No, I have more questions, but I don't want to hog them all.
I think the most important thing that I always want to get out is for the up and coming people like me, the people who want to get out there and just removing the barrier of intimidation, right? Like that's why a couple of the things that you said really resonate with me. It doesn't matter, just start, just do. Don't interpret everything negatively. Just do and refine as you go. Yep. So, anything that you can say that helps motivate people to create art and not be afraid like the trolls that are out there and not be afraid to even just get started. Those
Yeah,
are
use that delete button, delete, block, or whatever.
Delete and block.
Do
Right.
not let them
Delete and block.
steal
I
your
use it a lot.
joy. Don't let them steal your joy.
And
Nope.
don't
I
be
like
afraid to have
that.
a voice, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing is grow thick skin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so learn to like. Those people are over there. They have a problem. That's their problem. Let them have
I
it.
think it's important to definitely start and maintain a positive attitude.
He's
Yep.
biased. He's biased.
Yeah, because
I was wondering if
you
he
know,
was going to come on.
nobody likes Debbie Downer.
No,
You got to be positive.
yes.
And when you run into one of those negative folks, just kind of go and
Yeah.
get rid of it because
Yeah.
you
I mean,
don't need it. You
I
don't
guess-
need it.
I guess take if it's constructive
Destructive.
criticism,
Hmm.
Yeah,
read it. But if
Mhm.
it's criticism that's just like you're ugly or you sound stupid,
and your mother dresses you funny. Yeah.
Right.
There you go. Thanks.
We've talked
yeah,
about
yes.
all of these things that you should be doing. Is there one or two big don'ts?
That's a good question.
Well, like I think I said earlier, don't not do it. You've got to start somewhere. I would say, gosh, I don't know if there really are.
Don't
any
engage the
don'ts.
trolls.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Don't
you don't
feed the
need.
trolls. As they
don't
say.
feed them. Yeah, don't feed them.
Don't feed the trolls.
No.
Don't like a couple of things in there. When I said don't take too big of a bite out of the apple too, is just, pace yourself. You don't have to do it all at once. And so often people that I've worked with have said, I've been meaning to do this for a year. I've been meaning to do this for 6 months. I've been meaning to do this for, and I'm like, well, let's do it now. Stop putting it off. And how else are you going to know until you get out there and you dip your big toe in the water? You don't have to put your whole entire foot in there, but at least take some steps to move forward. So it's just, I think, and social media platforms can be intimidating to some people too.
Big
and
time. Big
just
time.
again, if you start off, then just start off with one and go in, 100% on that one, and make sure you're posting regularly. I know which way we go, and on my backdrop little thing here is, create yourself a content calendar. Strategize. And all you have to do is just print out a calendar and say, Mondays, I'm going to post about this. Tuesdays, I'm going to post about this. And that's another thing, is that not only timeline is a factor. Like if you post at 10 a.m. versus 10 p.m., it's also the day of the week. Mondays, people are just coming off of their weekend. So you're getting a little bit of folks looking at their social media. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are fantastic. And then Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, this is people's weekend. So you can never, ever, ever tell what they're going to do. And, it's just human behavior. And so, don't sweat the small stuff. If that stuff stresses you out, like I got to post on this day at this time, don't do it. Just do it. Just post. And it'll come.
I always figure people are going to be sitting around on a Sunday evening going through their phones. I always figured Sunday evenings would be a good time to post, but that's just my own personal opinion. Because I sit there on Sunday evenings and scroll.
You've got I tell folks, everybody's got an opinion. Even the platform folks that come out with this stuff, they have an opinion. But get the wheels moving. Do if Sundays work best for you, do Sundays. At least get started and start getting into a habit and a schedule and being consistent with your posting, being consistent with your engaging is going to be so important. And I want to say this real quick for any artist that's whether you're pencils, inks, colorist, get you an inexpensive arm where you can put your iPhone and record yourself.
Right there.
Yes.
Right
and
there.
Download it, put it in Dropbox, put it in wherever it is on a flash drive. get some footage and put that out there. Put some music behind it if you don't want to talk, or talk about it and just say what technique you're using, or why you're doing this and why you're doing that, or talk about how you learned to do this particular thing. Get some footage and then break those up, chop it up, and use that as your post. Doggone it all.
And there's plenty of free video editors out there you can use too.
Oh my gosh,
yeah. Don't just record something and throw it out there. Edit it. Cut the silly stuff out, or the stuff that doesn't work. You may have to shoot it 3 or 4 times to get it right, but you edit it. I just did one for the project that we're gonna do next week. I did one of the penciling that I did, and it took me 20 minutes to draw that. But if I edit it, I shrank it down to like 4 or 5 minutes. So I'm going. But you need to do that. I threw some music behind it too. But yeah, you got to edit it. If you just leave it raw, it'll work, but it won't work as well. You need to edit it down.
Yeah, and if you're not a talker, just put music behind it. That works really well too. You can use your words in the actual post of what you're wanting to get across. Don't make it a book. Just kind of 2-3 sentences at the max. But you can do that too. And Canva, if you pop in for free, you can pop in a video and cut it down and add some free music to it. So that's another freebie right there, is to be able to get, if you want, 60 seconds or less kind of thing, depending on what platform you're going to post it on. So yeah, there's some free stuff out there that doesn't cost you any money at all.
Yep. The free music, the whole bit. Yeah.
Okie dokie. Wow, that hour went by fast. We should have BJ on more often. She carries the whole show by herself. So,
well, this is fun. Thank y'all for inviting me.
I think it's important. The one thing that I meant to say before we end up here is be authentic. Don't. People can tell when you're putting on. Be authentic. If you're not feeling that day, do the best you can, but don't pretend that you're having the greatest day in the world. Just plow through. But they can smell a fake a mile away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
No more
All
preaching.
right,
No
folks,
more preaching.
It's that time again.
Uh-oh.
And as we like to say at the end of every one of our streams, make mine
Silverline. Hi, I'm Greg Horn. Make mine Silverline.